Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday night edition of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We got Science Bob in the house tonight for Science Bob and Friends. And oh yeah, we're going deep into the UFO world. So sit back, relax, put your seatbelts on just in case it gets up to be a bumpy ride. I don't expect any turbulence on this flight, but you never, ever know. It's good to have all of you here. Thank you for tuning us in as we say hello to Race Fan in the gold medal position, Tim Mothman in his goatee with a silver, Robert Lamoth with a nice bronze medal tonight. Hi, Simon the Likeable, little Timmy James. Good to see you. Scott B., thank you for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call. There's Eternity Eternal. Science Bob's in the chat room too because, well, you'll just see his great beard that he's growing. Karyn in the Woo Train, how are you? Thank you for coming on in. Cosmic Joe, nice to see you. Mel WD40 is here. He's lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. And knowing the topics we have tonight, we're going to need a lot of lube tonight. A lot of lube. So get squirting there, Mel, because we're going to need it really, really bad. Oh, that sounded terrible. That sounded terrible. Squirt away, buddy. Squirt away. Operation Shutdown. Good to see you. As we continue on with roll call, there's Digger Dog. And number 27 in your program, starting at right wing tonight from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. They expect 27 goals, 34 assists this year. Hey, it's good for second line. Good for second line. Chill Farm Brisbane, how are you? Chill Farm will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Human Carl is here, a great veteran of the United States Air Force. We love you, Human Carl. Thank you for your service. Cosmic Joe, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. We very much appreciate your great love and support of SOR. Thank you very, very much. Thomas Rock, how you doing? And who's next on our roll call here? Scroll on down. There's Richard Minnick. You know, if you wave to Richard, he always waves back. Pam Harris is here. Pam Harris will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Ozzy, Marty Burback, Paramarv, Terrence Wills, Lee the Bee. Good to have you all here. Al Garay over on Twitch. Incline pressed, 450 pounds, 72 times. 72 times. This guy's jacked for Science Bob tonight. Just jacked. Boo the Beagle. It's been a while. Nice to have you back. Super crazy. Mark Sanchez and his collection of Hawaiian shirts. Nice to see you. JSCO. Glenn John McEnroe, the pride of Wimbledon. Gregory, digital audiophile. How you doing? As we continue on with our roll call here. Hi, Dragonfly. Joe Kirk. Welcome to SOR Chat. And Flat 6, good to see you. Linda Thompson, how are you? Cody Eiler, nice to see you. Science Bob wants us to lube it up right there. He's like, lube away, Mel. Lube the frick away. Cat's Tongue, nice to see you. So we continue on with the roll call here. Let's next say hello to Christine Lynn. Nice to see you here. Boo the Beagle. Thank you for that amazing super chat. Very much appreciate the love and support, my friend. Phyllis Boucher Perry. I'm the only one who pronounces Boucher properly. Yep. Yes, no, maybe. Nice to see you. Hi, Gizmo. Smurfy. How you guys doing? Hi, Super Knower. And the Mac Geek. Nice to see you. PRM. Good to have you here as well. Hi, Eli. Science Melinda. Nice to see you. Ow, I just twitched and hurt my leg. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Science Bob is here. Dr. Bob McGwier for all things weird and strange. Casey Albright, nice to see you. Thanks for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call right before the show. And Richard Minnick, thank you for that awesome super chat. Greatly appreciate that, Richard. Thank you very, very much. And Joe Kirk, thank you for that awesome super chat. Very much appreciate your love, man. Appreciate that. Hi, 11, Mr. Catfish. How you doing? Don't forget you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Why? Because I hate ugly swag. Resonate, how you doing? Do me a favor, everybody. Throw those horns up. High Contrary 1. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out, Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have a great show of UFO news tonight. Science Bob is here. Dr. Bob McGwier will join us momentarily. Then in hour number 3, we got Swamp Dweller with another creepy story. Tim James is here with another great UFO report. He'll be in studio. It's that time of the month where we bring in our top scientist around Spaced Out Radio, Dr. Bob McGwier. We call him Science Bob around here. Is formerly of Virginia Tech University, where he helped run the physics and mathematics programs. Yeah, you need some brains for that. He would have flunked me. I'm just going to be honest. Science Bob would have flunked me out of those courses. If you saw him right now, he's actually nodding his head. Thanks, Science Bob. Appreciate that. He's formerly of the CIA, formerly of the NRO. He has his name on more than 20 satellites up in space. The man is brilliant. He's also a big UFO nerd, which I use as a major, major compliment. It's one of my best friends in this field, as I've got to see Science Bob a number of years in a row now since we met in 2020. And I'm very, very happy to have him back on Spaced Out Radio. Science Bob, it's always good to have you here, my friend. How are you?
War Eagle.
Oh, War. What does War Eagle mean for Auburn? Please explain.
Okay, so the Auburn Tigers have always had a big stadium, and one day, while they were playing the school fight song, an eagle flew down and over the stadium, and they won their game unexpectedly. So they got an eagle mascot, and they train it. And before every game, or right before the kickoff, the eagle swirls around the stadium and lands on the trainer's arm on the 50-yard line.
That's impressive.
And the entire crowd from 1,900 million years ago up until today hollers War Eagle every time it flies.
That's the one thing being in Canada that I don't like about our universities is we do not support university sports up here at all. Like if I went to say a UBC Thunderbirds game versus the Simon Fraser University, they used to be the Klansmen, but they're not that anymore. I don't even know what they're called anymore.
You're woke now.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when I worked in sports radio having to cover those games, and there's maybe 1,000 people in the stands. Maybe. My goal, one of my sports dreams, this is on my sports bucket list. I actually want to attend. I want to go down south, and I want to attend a Friday Night Lights high school football game where they're getting like 25 to 40,000 people for a high school game.
Oh, yeah.
I want to do that, and then on the Saturday, I want to go to a college football game because I've never done that. And then on Sunday, I want to go to an NFL game because I covered sports radio for 10 years. And the one thing that I'm upset about is I never got to go to an NFL game. Never got to go.
Wow.
So that is kind of my goal. It's my sports bucket list. Not bad for a hockey guy, but I just think it would be, college football has so many really cool traditions. I don't understand it. Okay. I mean, it's football. I don't understand how they have 100 players on each team. Okay. Literally. And it's really weird sometimes when you see people doubling up on numbers. Right. But some of the college tradition of it all, that's what I think is the biggest importance of it. It's unique to each university. And God, you guys do it right down there. You really do it right.
Yep. And my brother, he's well off. He's done well, and he's a big Auburn fan with me. And he runs the largest tailgate at the Auburn football game.
See, that's something I would love to do. That I've never tailgated.
And you sit there and you get drunk the first half, and then you go in and watch the end of the game the second half.
Okay. When are we planning this, Tim? All right. We're going to get that done. Science Bob, lots of UFO news coming out of the woodworks this week. I don't know where you want to start, whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's your time with Chris Bledsoe, or if you want to get right into it.
I went to, let's do Chris. I went to North Carolina this last weekend to the big festival down there they have in Wilmington, North Carolina. And this festival is called Riverfest because it's on the Cape Fear River where Chris had his amazing experience. And for the viewing audience, Chris's picture is up now and he's signing his books. And behind him, the guy in the ball cap, that's the same ball cap I have on right now because that's me behind him in the chair. Okay. So Chris, as people might know, has done a book called UFO of God, which is Chris and his family were there, and they always make all this a family occasion, and they sell books, greet their fans, and he invites the fans to come by, and Ryan gets to talk about his podcast, Red Bledsoe Said So, and people are hoping that Chris will lead people out to do some observing, and in fact, Chris did lead them out to do some observing. And this, for those who are able to see, this is a picture of 200 people out on the Atlantic Coast Beach in Wilmington, North Carolina. And just for those who can see, this is Ryan Bledsoe right here. And whoever's taking this picture is up on the lifeguard stand and that's Chris Bledsoe and me in the back. Okay, so what Chris does is how he usually gets the things to fly over is he says he prays and asks them to come over. And so on Saturday night, everybody's kind of a little bit rowdy. We got one craft and one orb. Sunday night, everybody's calmed down and into it, and all the people who came just for a big party left. And the people that were serious went out to the beach. And in an hour and a half, right overhead, I'm not talking about a Stephen Greer 3 or 4 flare drops out on the water. No, I'm talking about flying straight over our head. 130 orbs, craft, and the last 2 did a, your old F-35 flyby, lit up all of a sudden, flew over the crowd, and big old angel wings spread out over the crowd. And I'm telling you, that crowd went wild. It was 130 different things counted. He's got video of much of it, and I'm sure he'll be putting it on Instagram and Facebook soon. He's got to go. He likes to edit the things and make sure that anybody that's cussing's not in it. You get the idea, because he grabbed the audio as well. So anyway, Chris is doing really well. His book is selling well, and this was a major event, and he's doing another one in November at a Bigfoot conference. So it should be fun.
Going and seeing that firsthand, I know you've known Chris Bledsoe for a number of years now, and he's one of your mentors, if I can use that term, in the field, because it was his experiences that really led you to starting to take this subject very seriously. What's it like?
We met, you and I met at UFO Con, where the only reason I was there is because I had helped, along with Laurie Wagner, helped Chris provide, put together his first major PowerPoint slide enabled fancy display of evidence. And I edited the evidence. We agreed on what should be in it and so forth and so on, showed which we thought would have the most impact. And I still have those slides. I'm never letting them go. And they contain some of the most amazing evidence. People on the internet typically hate his videos because all they see is orbs. That is not what is in that evidence that we displayed at UFO Con. My favorite picture of all, I'll just describe one of them, is Laurie Wagner is in front of Chris and her camera guy. And the camera guy sees an orb behind Laurie. He picks up his camera and he goes click. And the picture was interesting, but I got a hold of it and processed it. Just it enhanced the exposure, did some contrast work, and this orb behind her has 2 arms coming out of it like that. And off in the distance is a gray alien shadow man. And that photo, to this day, is the greatest friggin' UFO orb weirdo photo I have ever seen in my life. And then Chris and I go out and observe, and we get all of this stuff fly over us. And the thing I can tell you is, if those 200 people are anything like me and the people that were with me at the time, they're going to follow them home, and they're going to have their own experiences, because when they flew over, they altered their consciousness. It was just amazing. So anyway, Dave, that's the story.
Lovely interaction that you had there. And, the fact that there's a lot of people out there in the UFO world who don't believe that you can summon in these craft. You were one who used to say, oh, that's impossible, until you saw it with your own eyes.
And then, so I was kind of half in, half out, didn't really believe, so I didn't do CE5. But now I live with Lala, and we have craft all the time. So between her and Chris, I see stuff whenever, basically every day.
what do you think that Chris Bledsoe's message is? Because for people who do know him, they know he's, and I mean this with all respect when I say, if we use a Leonard Skinner song, he's a simple man.
He is indeed. So his personal beliefs have been modified by all of this. So he used to be a deeply, deeply evangelical, hardcore religious man. But after MUFON screwed him over with their documentary on the Discovery Channel or History Channel, I don't remember which one. Discovery, I think. Travel Channel, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And they literally made a fool out of him. And the people in town persecuted him. And the people in his church were coming up to his house. And every time he would walk out the door, there'd be a bunch of them out there holy rolling and throwing holy water on him and telling him he was of the devil and telling his family and everybody who would listen that he was of the devil. So that really, and he got kind of hid in his house for three and a half years until the lady came. And when the lady came, he was introduced to this divine feminine Hathor lady in white that many people throughout history have seen. And there was some interest from government before, but after that, government was all over him because there are a ton of people in NASA and the intelligence community, et cetera, that have also had this white lady experience and know that's real, including the Vatican and others. And the Vatican really got wowed when a pope was going to visit Philadelphia and have a big deal. And he had this foreshadowing that there was going to be an assassination on a big bridge that crosses over from New Jersey into Philadelphia. And they moved the route and I think caught some of the people involved. And so the Vatican believes that Chris saved the Pope's life. So they stay interested in Chris, as does the government. And then Chris made a prediction that in 2027, an enlightenment is going to happen after lots of trouble before the Enlightenment, and everything about how we view reality is going to change, and we're going to go into a long, peaceful period. But there will be lots of trouble between now and 2027 when all that happens, including the kind of stuff we're seeing in the Middle East right now, where Israel and Iran are getting all up in each other's grill. Chris predicted this in 2012. I mean, this is it's kind of coming true. And something bad happens, and ET intervenes and stops it. That's his forecast. We'll see whether it happens or not. I mean, so many people have had these predictions, most of them into the world, that never happened, but we'll see what happens. Because I can tell you this, the government's taking it very seriously.
Well, he's a very protected individual.
That is for a fact.
Why do they protect him, and who is protecting him?
He's had people threaten him and his life. And he has people that work with him and believe in him in the government. And Jim Semivan is a big part of helping him be protected, as are wealthy friends, especially the very, very wealthy family he visited in Philadelphia had a very ill son. And Chris gave him one of these great big power hugs, and the kid was cured. And that's how, when Chris called and said, I think the Pope's in trouble, that guy made sure everybody knew, because this guy's powerful and wealthy. And so you see, and it's just, they take care of Chris. And if he has any trouble, whoever's trying to mess with him, they better look out. And there might have been a well-known bird that used to be in the CIA who have threatened Chris and his family, and then sent people to really scare them and the orbs came down and ran them off and burned them. I'm saying that happened. So, I mean, people just don't mess with him anymore because these stories get around.
I remember hearing a story about one person very close to Chris. He had been warned not to go to Los Angeles for a meeting about a documentary or a television show or whatever they wanted. And Chris let Jim Semivan know about this threat. And while they're eating dinner, this person who was sitting at their table was watching all of a sudden all of these blacked out vehicles surrounding the restaurant, and guys with earpieces, some with machine guns, standing on the outside to make sure that no threat was actually taken against Chris.
I have seen the pictures, and I guarantee you that happened.
Incredible.
And Tom DeLong and Lou Elizondo sat at Chris's home out in the yard at their picnic table, along with others who I don't think have been named, so I'm not going to name them. But anyway, Chris has known a lot of people a long time, and they're taking him seriously. I don't know, because I have not seen the veracity of the lady story, but I know Chris. So if he sees that and it's been told to him and he believes it, he's telling you the truth. What I can tell you is I have now personally witnessed, along with others at many different places, see the guy ask the sky to show him stuff, and they just pile up and show up and go crazy. But he summons this stuff all the time. He prays and asks if it's okay, will they show, and they do. He's always humble and deferent, and he shows them deference and never demanding. So it's just the guy's a good guy, and he's picked on a lot, but he's kind of gotten over it now.
Why do you think so many people in the UFO community pick on him? Is it just because he's an experiencer?
And it is amazing. About half the people in the UFO community don't want to hear anything about religiosity of any sort.
Wow. So I have troubles believing that this is a religious experience going on. And I'm saying that as a firm believer of God.
Yep.
Okay. But I have those type of issues.
Yep.
Okay. And many others do as well.
Yep.
But on the flip side of it all, do you think that maybe he leans too much on the religious side when it comes to UFOs?
That's his personal interpretation, and that's up to him. I don't know enough about the interaction he has with them to know whether or not the religious belief is justified. What I can tell you is, I saw two things that sprung wings that looked like angels fly overhead. Of course, we know plenty of people who have been experiencers who've been subjected to screen memories and other effects. So I'm just telling, and his 2012 experiment where he saw the lady and the bull. Every mythologist across the planet said, "Oh, that's the bull from the Egyptian god Hathor, and it's the divine feminine." And Chris now tells you that his beliefs are spiritual. He believes in the divine power, all that stuff. So he's a believer in the divine power and the spirituality of all of this.
One thing that I will say, Bob, before we go to break here, is I think he is somebody who needs to be believed. I think he is somebody who needs to be tracked, and the UFO community, especially the experiencers, need to pay a little bit more attention to him. When we come back on Science Bob and Friends with Dr. Bob McGwier on Spaced Out Radio, we will get into Immaculate Constellation. What is it? If you don't know, You're about to find out on Spaced Out Radio.
That was a good half hour.
Yeah. PRM to get to your point about muting my mouse clicking noise. It's my keyboard, and I can't. There is too much going on during the show for me to be mute, unmute, and all that. And then I'll end up forgetting to turn my mic back on. Just to be blunt, I'm doing my best. I know I do have to get a more silent keyboard. That is for sure. I will be working on that because it drives me nuts too. Mr. DB Cooper, been a while since you've been here. How you been doing? Hope you're well. The woo is real. Oob to Joe's Maine. You've got Science Bob's. He says, Oob, Sleepy Science Bob has a big butt, and he cannot lie. Hi, Mike Rivers. How you doing? Did you get my message, Tim? Not yet. I sent you a message. All right. Who needs some CE5? I could use a little bit of CE5 right now. Mama Susan, how are you? Can't believe my Oilers shit the bed on night number 1 of the NHL season. You go to hell right now. You go to hell. We got blanked 6-0. 6-0. Winnipeg. Well, Canucks are leading Calgary 4-3. Vegas is up on Colorado. That surprises me. 6-4. Holy cow, some high-scoring games tonight. Wow. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Jennifer Beveridge, welcome to SOR Chat. We are here each and every night. She's like, hello. I love this because I learned something new. She's like, oh, shut up, Dave. Secreto. What's happening? Welcome to SOR Chat. Exactly, Joe. What does oob mean? Exactly. It's like the password. What's the password for? Exactly. Oh, yeah. Look at Terrence Wills here, Bob. David Bob. Beard game is strong. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I got a Science Bob beard up here.
Yep, I cut my COVID beard off, but this one's because Lala likes it.
Well, when you retire that one, you know where to send it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Celeste, it is fall up here. It's getting down to single digits in the Celsius overnight, and you got that fall wind going on. The trees are all gorgeous fall colors, and it's hunting season. Yeah, going hunting this weekend. Mm-hmm. Just for the record, I think I'm one of the only hunters that goes out there without camouflage on.
You're gutsy.
Bob, you should have seen the beautiful cinnamon-colored black bear and her cub that was literally 10 feet on the road the other day.
Oh, I bet. It's so beautiful.
Oh.
Yeah, it's 12 here and going lower.
I got 2 oob beards, too.
There you go.
Yep. Yep. Thank you tonight to Joe, Boo, Richard, and another Joe, two different Joes, Cosmic Joe and Joe, for the great super chats tonight. Very much appreciate the love and support. So nice. So nice. Yeah, those bears were nice, man. That little cub, I would have tackled that little cub and just cuddled it. It looked like a teddy bear, a living teddy bear. Oh, it was so cute. And Mama said when she saw our vehicle, she was like, oh, hell no. We're running. We're running. All right, Bob, we got about 5 seconds here. Here we go with the second half hour, Spaced Out Radio tonight. We're getting deep into the latest UFO conspiracy with Science Bob. And we'll bring it back momentarily. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in tonight, wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Dr. Bob McGwier is here. We call him Science Bob, hanging out with us tonight. Bob, thank you so much for being here. We greatly appreciate it.
Oh, I'm very happy to be here. Is there any news, Dave?
Oh, Bobbert. I had one insider tell me that this is not good news for those on the inside of the UFO community, of the government community, that is.
No. They're scurrying like rats. And since, everybody, including me, has been talking about it, there's a lot of people that pay attention to me. And so they've scattered all over the place. And I've gotten a bunch of calls about Immaculate Conception, or Constellation, and what can I say? I keep saying Immaculate Conception because I was brought up in the church. But anyway, Immaculate Constellation. And I just think, from the reaction I'm seeing and the comments I'm getting, I think Schellenberger and his whistleblower took the sledgehammer, hit on top of the 10-penny nail, bent it 3/4 of the way through, and drove it all the way to the center of the earth.
All right. For people who may not have heard, this kind of broke on Monday about this secret UFO government program, so secretive that just over a handful of people know about it. Many people have heard the rumor of the name of the program, called Immaculate Constellation. Bob, you served a lot of time in government. Did you ever hear the term or know of the program Immaculate Constellation?
What I heard was a whisper, but nobody ever came around to confirm it. So I just never said anything, because the person I knew might just be talking out their butt after they got too drunk, which is not unusual if you're on the inside. It's called the bar skiff. I heard it in the bar skiff. And so I didn't put any attention. And then I saw it in Schellenberger and Ross Coulthart. And oh my goodness, I bet they're crapping themselves. And you should ask a friend named John.
I know a lot of Johns.
You know the John. He might have come to a fan party.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right. Yes. It's always interesting when you do a SOR fan party and a member of the CIA shows up.
And hangs out, and you drink a lot, and you have a bar skiff.
That's exactly it. But Bob, this program, from what I am hearing, okay, is, and I talked to one of my insiders north of the border about this, and all I said was in the text message was Immaculate Constellation ? This person told me that, and I got to be careful how I say this, he's surprised that it came out. Programs that deep never, ever are supposed to be named. It's like you're not allowed to talk about it.
No. I want people to understand. I've talked about waived, unacknowledged special access programs before because I've been in them. Now, not everyone is exactly the same, given you have different sponsors, different programs, different program content, but the overall structure is the same. And one of the things is you are never, ever allowed, under the deepest penalties of law, to name the program out loud, period. That's number one. If I walk up to you, Dave, John Q. Public walks up to Dave, who's on the inside, and says, what can you tell me about immaculate constellation? Marty, it is immaculate constellation. You are required by your non-disclosure agreement to utter the agreed upon lie. You are required to lie. You cannot name the sponsor. You cannot name the program. You cannot name who is in it. You cannot name what it's for. So only a handful of people would have been able to go to Schellenberger and tell Schellenberger who it is. But Danny Sheehan himself established the principle in front of the Supreme Court of the United States that freedom of the press under the First Amendment guarantees the press the right to not name its sources. And if the reporter gets a disclosure, the reporter has not committed a crime, and they are allowed to publish it. That happened when the Pentagon Papers came out. Danny Sheehan won the case for the New York Times and the Washington Post and all of their reporters, because the government under Nixon tried to force the reporters to tell them where it came from.
Well, here's what I was told, and I think you're 100% correct on that. So please just bear with me here with what I'm saying. This person had great concern for the well-being of the reporter for mentioning it. You know, yes, he may be protected under journalism, and
he won't be protected from the bad guys.
But he won't be protected from the bad guys who know about this, number one. But number two, he said if it ever comes out who the whistleblower is, which it looks like it may down the road right now, this is something that could push other whistleblowers right back into the darkness, because there was a rule broken. You know, it's kind of like Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club, you know, or if I use a hockey analogy, there are certain things that you don't do. Okay. You don't touch a superstar. You can rough them up a little bit, but you don't headhunt a superstar. Otherwise, you have to pay the price. There's protocol and code that goes along with that. It's like in baseball, you don't throw at the batter, but if you do, your batter is going to get struck pretty hard in the ribs with a 98 mile an hour fastball. There are just certain things you don't do. Unwritten code, unwritten rules that just everybody knows about. And is this going to be good for ufology that we now know about Immaculate Constellation?
Well, they'll change the name in a heartbeat. And they will interrogate everyone who is read into Immaculate Constellation. So look, the overall program is divided into silos. And each of these silos, one does propulsion, one does recovery, one does work on the biology of the aliens, and so forth and so on. But the overall umbrella that controls them all are whoever's Immaculate Conception, that's MJ12. Immaculate Constellation is MJ12.
You believe that?
They're the people on top.
Now there is, okay, so before we go into any further, we should define, Bob, what Immaculate Constellation is for the people who are like, what the hell are these guys talking about right now?
Well, I mean, Schellenberger said, the guy came out and says, this is the major overall overarching UAP, USO phenomena, alien body, crash recovery, etc. program. It's the controlling program for all of it, according to the person who talked to Schellenberger.
How many people would know about this program in the United States?
Look, people talk too much, but the only people that will admit they've been talked to and told about it, even to each other, are the people who are on the bigot list for the program. Everybody else, they can be drug in and forced to tell where they heard it.
So what do you think that amount is? 200? 300?
I don't think it's that many. I think this is the leadership, and there's only a handful, under 100 and probably well under. That's my guess. 2 digits.
This program is alleged to be run by a group that is nicknamed the Gang of Eight.
Yeah, that sounds right.
What is the Gang of Eight?
Well, it's 8 people, but it will not be the Gang of 8 in Congress because they're not read in.
Okay, but what is the Gang of Eight?
It's the people who run it and are in it and run all of the programs and make decisions, figure out how the budgets are going to be done in negotiations with the rest of the government. They are the overall managers. They're the C-suite. Everybody else is in a department.
So with this alleged Gang of Eight, I remember a long time ago you telling me about this group called the Collins Elite.
No, the Collins Elite, that's Nick Redfern. What I told you is I believe that the Collins Elite had been succeeded by the family. The family does a whole lot more than just this topic. They are trying to run the government into a Christo-fascist right-wing government, and that's including support from Leonard Leo and others. No, they just want to run everything, but they want to run it like fascist.
Okay. So who's the family then? This is the first time I've heard that expression.
Okay. So it's a very, very religious group in Congress and other parts of the government. And anybody who wants to go investigate this, go on Netflix and watch the documentary called The Family. They name names and show people.
Okay. Who would be involved in that?
There are all sorts of people in the executive branch, people in the military, people in Congress, and they have regular prayer breakfasts and get together. But there was a person who was kind of in charge of the family. There's always this figure on top. Always in these kind of things.
Does this go above and beyond the president of the United States? Would Joe Biden know about this? Would any other president?
I doubt it. I doubt he's a member of the family because he's not right-wing Christian enough. Because remember, he's Catholic and moderate. He's a Catholic moderate and ostensibly believes in our representative democratic republic.
So he wouldn't be read in.
I doubt it.
In your conversations with people regarding Immaculate Constellation. And I know your phone has been buzzing the last couple of days about this. What is the conversation going on behind the scenes right now?
What the heck is this? So I got I got a lot of messages, phone calls, etc. What the heck is this, and what do you know? Well, I don't know a lot because I'm not read in, but I'm told that this is going to upset a lot of people. And I think that there's a fear by the insiders that this might be the chink in the armor that allows chaotic disclosure.
You mean catastrophic disclosure, not to...
I mean, worse than catastrophic. I mean, totally chaotic.
So for people who may not understand, what does that mean?
That means all of a sudden the thing falls apart and everybody comes out and talks about everything before the people who would like to roll this out have a chance to smooth it for the people. Smooth it so they aren't upset when they learn we were put here by aliens and the Garden of Eden was something different than what they thought it was.
Do you think that there are people who know the truth about humanity?
Yes.
Okay. I know that was an open-ended question there, which I shouldn't have asked. The fact that there are people out there who actually know about this, what does this mean towards the United States of what they are hiding?
Well, they're hiding along with other governments because apparently it is an agreement amongst governments to hide the origin of all of this. So, and again, apparently there's more than one entity, but the ones bringing us this are the ones who've been around the longest.
Okay.
That and the stories go that there's various stories that there was a U.S. nuclear submarine traversing the Indian Ocean, and it all of a sudden heard a bunch of stuff, racket going on, and they went as deep as they could go, and they dropped down a sensor drone, and it went down about as far as it could go, and it took a video, and it saw the lights of a city on the bottom. Big.
That's right out of the movie The Abyss.
That's like the movie of The Abyss, and I think that's where Cameron got the story for the movie of The Abyss. And there are things like that. I mean, there's just so much stuff out there. I mean, just imagine all of a sudden, all of this stuff, including we were seated here by this, and on top of the destruction of our energy economy, destruction and allowing the smartest, quickest scientists, no matter where, and engineers where they are, to put together a delivery vehicle that can drop a nuclear warhead on any capital in under a millisecond. And nobody would know it was ever coming. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here, Dave, that are implied by what we have heard leak out and seen in videos and on sensor elements. There's a lot of implications that if you're adept at science and engineering and how the military's equipment works, and assuming this under the assumption of U.S. supremacy, the last time I knew enough about it to comment on it, whatever this is way beyond us, so it's way beyond everybody else. And if we had it, we would have ended a few problems. And if the others had it, they would have ended a few problems.
Is this something that every government in the world has knowledge of, or basically the more advanced governments of the world? Because I can't see, Ayatollah Khomeini or the head of the Taliban in Afghanistan, with both of them trying to party like it's 1499 to steal a Prince song. I can't see them being open to the fact that there is some serious extraterrestrial action going on.
Except they probably have crashes and they've retrieved them. I suspect that lots of countries on Earth that don't want the U.S., Russia, China, et cetera, to come get it have had crashes and hidden them.
In getting back to the original topic, because we only got about 4 minutes to go before we have to go to break here at the top of the hour, Science Bob. Going over the next couple of days here, the next couple of weeks regarding Immaculate Constellation, do you think that this could now be a topic of conversation to maybe razz things up a little bit for the November 13th hearings?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it'll come up. But they cannot compel Schellenberger to come in and talk. They cannot, because of his First Amendment free press protections. He will not name his sources, nor can they require him to under Supreme Court rulings.
I get that, and as a journalist, I can appreciate that. I really can. That being said, is there now a witch hunt going on for who leaked the information, or did that person maybe have permission? Because sometimes these little snippets of juice that come out and fill our glasses, sometimes it's by people who've been the chosen one to make the whistleblower statement.
All possible. So maybe they decided they're going to reorganize and change the name, so they let the old one leak out. That's also possible. And I'm not inside enough to even come close to knowing the difference.
You seem very uncomfortable talking about this situation.
What's that?
You seem very uncomfortable talking about this situation.
Well, I'm careful. I want to be careful. I don't want to say things that are not true, and I don't want to imply that I know more than I actually know, because that doesn't serve anybody, especially our audience. That doesn't serve me or the people who are trying to get disclosure, or the people who are trying to protect the secrets. So it doesn't serve anyone for me to go further than I'm actually able to go.
My source that I talked to about it last night stated to me that he was very uncomfortable even talking to me about it, because this topic is so sensitive in the dark projects that just talking about it could get you fired. It doesn't matter if you're American, Canadian, Mexican, or any other country person within the defense or the defense industry.
Yeah. That's probably true.
He also told me that this is a topic where the program is correct, but the way Schellenberger reported it was wrong.
That may be true. That because I'm not on the inside, and I have not had the read in. So only people who are on the inside and have the read in know all the truth. And so you've got to remember that whoever talked to him told him what he wanted to tell him. And so Schellenberger may have misheard and or extended it beyond what the person told him by talking to other people who may or may have not had other agendas. See what I'm saying? Because remember, he went to multiple sources after the original source and got confirmation.
I was chatting with Danny Silva last night of the Silva Record, who's been very silent the last year on this subject.
Very quiet.
He was telling me that the play out now is whether or not these are good guys for the topic or bad guys for the topic. Your thoughts? We got 10 seconds.
I don't know enough to answer the question, and I wish I did, but I don't.
Science Bob and Friends continues on Spaced Out Radio as we wrap up hour number 1 and head to hour number 2. When we get back, I know Bob loves Elon Musk, his number one fan. Okay, Bob actually wears Elon Musk long johns in the winter. It's true. He showed me them, not while he's wearing them. But we're going to get into something controversial he said about UFOs next on Spaced Out Radio. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Bob, we're clear.
All right, that's a good topic.
I'm just going to take a break here. I'm going to put you back in the green room. We'll be right back, okay?
Yep.
All right, we'll be right back, everybody. All right. Let's bring Science Bob back. Hi, Troy SR71. How you doing? Renee Cruz, nice to see you. Bill F. and Murray, good to have you back. Kevin, nice to see you. I'm going to get to questions in the final half hour, okay, with Science Bob, because I know he loves your questions. Big thank you to Cosmic Joe, Boo, Richard, and Joe for the super chats. Here we go. Here comes hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. What does Elon Musk know about UFOs? Science Bob is here. We'll get to him momentarily. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for being part of tonight's awesome UFO topic. We really do appreciate it. We want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. This one's for Joe. Pointy Sticks. Pointy Sticks is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as a clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Science Bob is here for Science Bob and Friends. We always welcome in Dr. Bob McGwier for being a part of this show each and every month to break down the who, what, where, when, and why, along with how, when it comes to the paranormal, supernatural, UFOs, and so much more. Tonight, we are talking about UFOs with Science Bob. Welcome back, buddy.
Happy to be here, Dave.
All right, Science Bob, politics aside, because we know that you have an autographed T-shirt that says "I love Kamala" on it. We know that. We know that, you are a big fan of science. We know that Elon Musk is the richest man in the world, but recently he did an interview where he talked about UFOs. And he said that, I'm paraphrasing here, that about 90% of what we see in the sky over the United States is man-made and black projects. What did you think about that?
That might even be true, but of course, the place the place we care about is the 10% that isn't, and nobody as smart as him can even figure it out. I do want to challenge our audience, because I was watching the International Space Station feed when SpaceX sent a Dragon capsule full of supplies to the International Space Station. Now, one of these missions has a really unique feature. The feature is nothing and no one can turn the outside camera off when that thing is approaching, because it's a safety of flight, safety of station, and safety of astronauts issue, so that camera cannot be turned off. And once this Dragon capsule began approaching docking, a gigantic craft flew a few meters behind it. To me, it looked like a triangle. That video was up for a while, but I can't remember how to find it, and I'd love for somebody to find it and share it with me, especially. So look, I literally am not the only person, but I'm one of those few that I watch every launch on Earth that is carried live on video. And I watched every single SpaceX launch for years. And the reason is SpaceX was the first company that live streamed on YouTube and now X and other places the entire launch from beginning to payload deploy. And it was just awesome. And I love space. I have my own company has satellites up there, and I built satellites for other entities that are up there and still being used, and help run an organization that builds satellites that are still up there and used in hundreds. Not just 20 is my company, but hundreds of satellites from the organization I used to be the director of engineering for. Okay, so I just watch space all the time. And I have seen multiple times on SpaceX feeds stuff that is not explained by anything prosaic. And Elon Musk knows it. There was a man craft Dragon that was deployed. It got up to the end and they deployed it. And something flew round and tumbling between the Dragon capsule and the second stage. And everybody went, that should have been a major incident leading to all sorts of investigations. And I'm sure it did on the inside. But nobody made a big deal out of it outside, and Musk has never commented on it. Musk is now, and his company, are now doing national security launches for the National Reconnaissance Office and Space Force. And I am sure that Musk has marching orders. Would you like to continue to get these billions of dollars from the U.S. government and maybe occasional help when the FAA gets in the way? Well, then you've got to keep your mouth shut and say what we tell you to. And I'm sure he is. Sign the dotted line. Especially after he went on Joe Rogan and blew a big doobie, and they told him they were going to hang him up by his short hairs, short and curlies, if he ever did stop doing what they told him to do.
Still loved that moment. I really did love that moment. But with his investment into moving space forward, and being the richest man in the world, do you think that he really cares?
Yeah, well, let me ask you this. Let's suppose they open the coffers tomorrow and give away propulsion. SpaceX is dead the next day. He cares.
Okay, so that still puts a giant question mark on his recent interview, talking about basically a potential secret space program.
There is a secret space program, and it's one everybody knows about. Does it go as far as people think it does? We'll have to wait for disclosure.
Do you think then, in that conversation that Elon had, do you think then that maybe he is pressing the buttons to try and move disclosure forward?
No.
Do you think he cares?
He does not want disclosure because it'll get in the way of his SpaceX fortunes. If you have a vehicle that can go anywhere you want, you don't need SpaceX to go anywhere at all. The guy is conflicted heavily.
Now, I believe he was read in a long time ago. I really do believe
that's most likely to part of it, but he won't know Immaculate Constellation.
I don't think he would know that program. But we do know, Bob, because it has been well determined, unlike Bill Nelson from NASA admits to anything, because Bill thinks we're all stupid.
Yep.
We know that almost every launch of a spacecraft from Gemini right to today has been followed by some sort of drone or some sort of craft.
And Elon Musk's cameras have caught it. but he will not admit it.
I get that. I get that. The question that I have for you regarding this is, when you're read into something like that, not to mention the UFO stuff, which I do believe he has been read in, do you think that that's the reason why he's really silent on the entire subject? Because if he comes out and says, hey, my rockets are followed, then there's a lot of interesting, because if you remember a few years ago, before they figured it out, he had one rocket, one of the early rockets, it blew up before it took off. And when they slowed down the footage, there was like this little tic-tac that was flying around it before it exploded. And you could go back and see that video.
And he accused ULA of doing it because he was going to outdo him in competition. But that turned out not to be true, according to the official explanation.
What was the official explanation on that?
So one of the things that SpaceX has done is reduce the temperature of the oxidant, the liquid oxygen, to a much lower temperature than anyone else in the industry does, because it allows them to pack a lot more propellants in and achieve more launch capacity than anybody else with the same size vehicle. And a mistake was made, and some assumptions that materials that were used in there and cooled to the super low temperature for too long failed, and the whole thing blew up. That's the official explanation. And you and I will never know more than that.
Do you think then that Elon wants to talk about this subject?
No, I'm telling you, I don't think he wants to. I don't think he wants disclosure.
I get what you're saying with that, but here's the problem, Bob. Look who his best friend is. His best friend is Peter Thiel.
Yep.
Who he started PayPal with.
Yep.
Peter Thiel, this is where we go down the rabbit hole.
Enigma, and yes, I get all that.
Okay. Peter Thiel, and this is for our audience who may not know. Peter Thiel owns a company called Palantir. Palantir is a massive multi-billion-dollar defense company.
And intelligence. Defense and intelligence.
Exactly. And literally from what I have learned about it, correct me if I'm wrong, part of his companies actually protect the computer systems that are used by the defense, the military, and other intelligence agencies from hackers.
Yep. That's part of it.
Okay, good. So when you get the fact that Peter Thiel is a UFO guy, you get the fact that he is the funder of about what we're hearing around $8 million to fund Enigma Labs. There's a tie to the UFO story, which means that he has likely, he being Thiel and Musk, have likely had the UFO conversation.
Except it's minimal. You cannot say anything about this area at all. That's it. One sentence will be the kind of conversation, because they're not going to let them in on the secrets unless Peter Thiel has fully cleared and he gets in there to run their IT and cybersecurity.
Right.
The cybersecurity people, they know the secrets. They know everything that's on a computer system. This is how Edward Snowden blew the whistle on everything.
Is there a chance that we'll ever see verified data on this? You're talking to people behind the scenes. I'm talking to people behind the scenes. We're both relaying what we're hearing. But
there is data that there is a hell of a fight to get out the door. And I'm hoping this November hearing shows it. Because I got to tell you what, those people in Congress, they are demanding it. They have seen it They want it released. And I mean, they don't want the blurry one released. They want the good one released.
Okay. So what do you think will be shown at that meeting?
I don't know. I don't know because I don't know who is testifying. I've heard a hint there, but they have not put out an official witness list. And so far, I haven't heard anybody say much of anything.
It is going to be interesting to see how this all ties in to the next hearing with Immaculate Constellation, with, you know, the topic that is firing up again on all cylinders publicly. This is. How do you feel about the fact that we don't know who's speaking? Tim Burchett has come out stating that the November 13th hearing, a few days after the election in the United States, that he's saying we're not bringing in as many witnesses as we have previous. The maximum you've had is 3. That's not a lot of witnesses, man.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm just telling you. Well, no. They had an entire row full of chairs that were for the other people who were supposed to come with them, and they got too scared to show up. They got run off. Ask George now. Ask Jeremy. Ask Steve. They know those people were supposed to be there, and they didn't come because they were scared.
It's kind of awesome that the next time you are on with us will be the night of the hearings.
I'm not planning a guest that evening either.
Well, we might have to get a panel.
That would be all right. If we got a panel, that would be great.
Yeah, I know Courtney Marcassani right now is trying to get a press pass to get in there. And she has stated that if she does get that press pass, she would love to come on with you and I to talk.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
I think we need Grant Cameron too. I think we'll have to get.
That'd be great. That'd be great. If Grant will stay up that late and talk to us, that'll be great.
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll build a panel. That's for sure.
You know how much I love that guy.
Oh, how can you not love Grant Cameron?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this then. With everything that's coming on and Congress once again acting tough regarding these latest hearings, are we moving towards disclosure, Bob? Are we really trying to move the ball forward, or are we just playing pickleball with this subject?
We are still playing pickleball with the subject because we're not going to get to the nut of it with anything I've heard. They want to dribble it out over decades.
Why?
Again, to mitigate the fallout.
What is this fallout?
The end of the energy economy, the end of the transportation economy, the end of the space economy. Well, if all of this comes out and blows away everything, all the rich people who own stock in those companies just lost out. It really is a serious deal. The end of the beliefs of every religion on earth. How about that? There are consequences to just telling it all. Or the aliens are telling us we're going to get popped like crazy in 25 years by an astronaut that's going to destroy all life on Earth. Anything like that, Dave, they're just not going to let it out. But they're fighting with the modern information age where everybody has a cell phone camera and can show you the existence of what that everyone's been talking about. They can no longer keep the secrets the way they did.
Bob, your signal's kind of cut out there for a quick second. It's really weird because your video is looking great, but your audio all of a sudden started speeding up as you were talking about that. Yeah, your audio has all of a sudden got a crap. You can't hear me? Well, that's kind of weird. Hope it's not my audio.
I don't hear you at all, buddy. No audio.
Very, very weird. Very, very weird, because everything is working on our end.
Somebody didn't want to talk to me.
Are you hearing me now? Can you hear me now? This is so weird.
Oh, I'm the one that came here. Let me drop out and come back.
All right. Science Bob's going to drop out and come back. This is good. I love it when weird stuff happens. And look, I know there's probably a logical explanation for it. But damn it, I'm going to say right now, that's aliens. That's the government not wanting us to talk about aliens. And once again, I say that in jest. Okay.
I
Bob,
can
how
hear
you doing?
you.
You can hear me now? Good.
Yep. I don't know what happened.
Aliens or the U.S. government?
Yes. Did you see me whip my head over?
Yeah.
Something walked by my door.
Oh, wow.
And I could see it through the glass, and everybody else is in the bedrooms.
You know what's funny is there's going to be people listening to this now on the podcast side of everything, and they're going to be like, "Oh, Dave, it's not aliens. It's some sort of technical issue with Bob's computer." No, it's aliens.
Aliens or something. I mean, apparitions don't walk by your door and it be a technical issue with my computer.
Well, you know what's funny, and our radio audience will be able to see this, and I have Tim James in the background here who could attest to this. Right before you turned your head, I had something drop. Right.
Yeah, I saw you turn your head, and I heard it. I wondered if you were even going to mention it.
Yeah. Yeah, you seem to have an orb on your screen there, Bob.
Yeah, that's just the virtual background fading in and out.
Ah, gotcha. You sure it's not aliens?
I promise you. Here.
Because I want to be a grifter on this stuff, man. I want to grift away on this.
That's the edge of my green screen, and
Gotcha.
it's not doing good enough.
We got a minute to go here before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Science Bob is here with us. Getting back to disclosure, you said that you think we're getting past the point of catastrophic disclosure.
I think we're near the point of catastrophic disclosure. I think we're getting almost past the point where they're not going to be able to control it, because literally people are looking to get out from under this horrible, onerous secrecy where their entire lives are controlled and disrupted by one NDA they signed somewhere in their career. They want the secrecy ended.
Oh, I could believe that.
And it is oppressive and expensive. And they're probably doing illegal things to keep it hidden.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. You know, what's the famous line from the Van Halen's video for Right Now? Your government is doing things you only thought other governments do. Right?
And our government does lots of evil things. It's just the case that our government is less evil than almost all the other ones.
Science Bob, we got until the top of the hour on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned, everybody.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right. We are going to get to some questions from our audience next. Do me a favor, please keep them on topic for tonight. All right. I'm only going to be taking questions that are on topic for tonight. Okay. So if you don't mind, we'd appreciate it. I don't know if I'll get through all the questions, but we will darn well try and do our best. Hi, Zaya Bonanza. How are you? Good to see you. And Sweet Robbie G coming in. You know why he's late, Tim?
No, why is he late?
Because he was braiding his chin hair.
Well, he did a great interview with Lala and I. It was fun.
Yeah, Rob's fantastic. He is really fantastic.
My brother Rob.
Oh, I love the guy. You know how easy he makes spaced out radio, man?
He's just cool, calm.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of crap goes down. He just brushes it off and keeps on walking.
Nothing phases him.
No, but he had all that. He had all the usual issues that one has with partners, and brushed it off and kept on going.
He recently took up floor hockey. Just so that way, next year he's going to learn how to skate. And then he's going to, join a men's league and try and punish some people. Yeah, Robbie Brashear. All right. Who else showed up here? Let's see here. Yes, no, maybe. How you doing? Jeff Sherrod, welcome. Who else jumped in here? Let's see. _ Maddie, thank you. By the way, I had to restart the count because I got called I sucked the other night by this troll guy. So I'm back to one show. I went so many shows in a row, Bob, without somebody calling me fat or ugly or bad or that I suck. And lately I've just been hammered by it. Bimmer Jimmer, how are you?
There's a lot of kind of pent up angst and anger, and it's just coming out everywhere.
Well, a lot of the way I look at it is a lot of these trolls that are doing this, it's just I like to mess with them back. I really do.
Yeah. You've seen my page. I'm trolled constantly because of what I put up, and I just pour it right back on. And I'm finding most of them can't keep up with how quickly I can respond with something that slices their hoo-has off.
Debbie Wotan, welcome to SOR chat. Yes, solar flares equal Northern Lights for Dave. So
you gotta have them. We had a massive flare last night.
Yeah, problem is I got clouds.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. I did get some shots the other night that I put on my face.
So a friend of mine down in San Diego that has a telescope up on the mountain had a fisheye camera and got the aurora all the way in Southern California.
Nice. Kimberly Burgess, welcome to SOR chat. And let's see here.
I got some strays.
JBD, nice to see you. Deborah Rooney, thank you. My underwear are just fine, Deb. My underwear are just fine tonight. Louisville Charlie, how you doing, my friend? Pony Pong, nice to see you. Man, we've had a lot of people come in this last little bit here.
We used to be popular.
We is popular. You know how everybody says solar flares, will affect telephones and affect. We get them all the time. We get the effects of that up here because we're high up.
Yep.
Never, ever has my phone line cut out.
Yeah, that was a long time ago when things were analog and etc. Yeah.
You're analog. Bob has a T-shirt that reads, "I'm analog."
Oh dear. I love you, Dave. You're
Bob is Nokia analog.
You're so full of
hold on here, guys. Thank you to Cosmic Joe, Boo the Beagle, Richard, Joe, Dutch Hank, Human Carl, _ Maddie, and Deborah Rooney for the great super chats. We really appreciate the love and support. Don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can be like Deb, who bought Dave Scott undies, Sweet Robbie G undies. She's rocking us every day. She is.
100 of you have not hit the like button. Go do it.
That's right. Here we go, Bob. Second half of Spaced Out. No, it's now underway. My name is Dave Scott. I'm the host here on the Mighty SOR. And yes, I am wearing tinfoil underwear as we speak. Yep, I am. Why? Because we're talking to UFOs all night with Dr. Bob McGwier, a.k.a. Science Bob. And you got to keep the aliens and their death rays away from your body. That's how you do it. Wear the tinfoil underwear. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on our YouTube channel or on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Science Bob is here for the final half hour of his segment. We're talking UFOs. And Bob, we're going to get to some audience questions right off the bat, and I know you love dealing with the audience here. So let's start off with Polly. Good morning, Polly. She is asking, Bob, what is disclosure for you, and how is it going to happen?
Some official capacity comes out and says, we have a program and Roswell was real and we've got a craft at Roswell and we got a few bodies. There are things we have to deal with that we have to be careful about because our job is to protect the national security interests of the United States of America. And we want to tell you, we do have UFOs and we've got a few of them, and we're going to roll it out slowly to make sure we protect our assets. That would be disclosure for me.
Me, I just want the answers. I don't care about the dark stuff. I just want the answers.
I'm all for protecting national security. I want to be told we have beings here. We have learned they are from, and here's what we think they want. And here's what we think they might be willing to do with us or for us or whatever. Those kinds of things. I don't want to know. I have zero interest in how the gigantic orange orb went up over the Air Force bases and shut down the nuclear weapons. I don't want to know how they suppressed the fields inside the atomic material that caused it to stop being a fission bomb. I don't care. I don't even care if we reverse engineered it. I want to know, did an actual UFO fly over it? I don't care about anything else. I want people told that they are not imagining things. The thing I find is the most amazing to me, Dave, most amazing of all, is because I got a tiny bit of public presence with a well-known resume, started companies, worked for the government. When I tell people, look, this stuff is real, I've seen it myself, the look of relief on some people's faces is awe-inspiring. It makes me humbled that I have been privileged to be able to do that. And I'm tired of having to do it when the government could do it and end it.
All right, let's move on to our next question. This one comes from Human Carl, not to be misconstrued with Alien Carl. In his book, Chris Bledsoe said Easter time 2026.
They're two different events.
Okay.
Crap starts happening around Easter time 2026. It's resolved, and things get a whole lot better a year later.
All right, let's move on. Sierra would like to know, who are the people who want to roll this out regarding disclosure?
There are a lot of people who are in the program who know that a lot of the program could be revealed, and we could end the classified at birth of physics. We need to end the classification at birth of physics. That's basic physics. The underpinnings of reality should not be classified just so they can keep a few worries and a few people rich. They're tired of the secrecy. It is onerous. Even when I was in, I had to call up and tell Mama when I was going to cross the border to see Dave. And if I didn't, I was in timeout for a while. And that's to our neighbor friend, Canada. Imagine, it's just the security clearance and their requirements are onerous. And they're really bad, and they use fear tactics to keep people from talking. I'm tired of that.
Well, you know, I'm a dangerous guy, Bob.
Exactly.
There's a one-page dossier of me in the Pentagon.
Yeah, maybe a sentence or two.
Yes, and the fact that I do not eat breakfast foods for dinner.
Exactly. They think you're weird. That's the reason. That's half of it.
No, that has nothing to do with it. They think I'm smart. That's why I'm under watch each and every night. Let's go to Rain. Dave, who are you waiting on to disclose the info? We can't trust the government. I still have a feeling that there is going to be an experiential event that cannot keep the lid on what the government says. I think that all of a sudden there's going to be, I don't know whether it's another Phoenix Lights, but this time on a more personal level with a landing. And this is what I would love to see. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. But I think that's what it's going to take, is all of a sudden a UFO comes down, lands, not in the middle of nowhere, not Snowflake, Arizona, where Travis Walton happened. Okay, it's going to happen. I think it has to happen or will happen in a major city somewhere in the world. It might not be in the United States. Could be in Europe, maybe Asia.
Why doesn't a major news entity send a team with a great reporter and cameras to the next Chris Bledsoe event? Why?
I would say a couple of reasons. Okay? A couple of reasons. And just hear me out on this for a second, Bob. They may not know about it because nobody has sent them a press release on it. That's probably the biggest one. Number two, it all depends who the news director is for that station. I don't think that would get national coverage, but I think it would get local coverage.
Okay.
And that's being blunt, and it has nothing to do with the conspiracy that the media is keeping this subject under taps. You know, I've ripped the mainstream media as a former member of the mainstream media. I've ripped them tried and true on this subject on many different levels. But in this case, I would say that somebody from the Bledsoe camp who put this together didn't go to the mainstream media with a press release. They may have called up and said, hey, we're doing this event. We'd love for you guys to come down. That doesn't do it. They want a press release.
Okay. Got it.
Let's move on. Let's go to Super Crazy. Are we all under government surveillance now just for watching or listening to this particular episode about immaculate whatchamacallit?
Well, I'm sure that they are government people in this chat room, etc., incognito, and looking at who's here, etc., and won't know what Dave and I say to each other.
Yep. One-page dossier right here, buddy. Bob's got a file like 14 feet thick. I got one page. And I don't even think it's a full page. Maybe it's a half a page. I'd be happy with about 2/3 of a page. You know, but either way, I got one page. That's all that matters to me.
The only sentence that matters is Dave's got aliens and he's been up in a craft with them.
So have you.
Yeah, I know.
All right, let's go over to Paramarv here. You speak of national security science, Bob. In your opinion, was Ronald Reagan right? Would the public announcement of aliens actually bring the majority of mankind together or not?
Paramarv, that's close to what he said. If the aliens were known to be a threat to our world, he said, we would drop all the crap and work together. And I believe that completely. And the reason is, I am given to understand that we have worked with Russians and others, and their scientists have visited us, and our scientists have visited them in their most secret places dealing with this subject. Under guard and control, but we are working together.
I want to pause the questions here for a minute because Lou Elizondo today was on the podcast with Mayim Balak from the Big Bang Theory.
Blossom.
Yeah, Blossom or
She was Blossom.
She's also a very brilliant scientist.
Very, very bright.
Extremely bright.
Degreed and everything.
Yeah, I believe she has her doctorate in neuroscience or something along those lines.
Neuroscientist.
And long story short, Lou Elizondo's been doing this book tour for quite a while.
Yeah, he's keeping his book at #1 on the New York Times bestseller list.
But, Bob, here's one thing that I've noticed, and I don't know if I've told you this or not. Much like To the Stars Academy did, his PR company is really lame ducking the UFO community regarding this subject.
Yep.
We're the people who bought the majority of books. We're the people who supported his cause, who blew him up on Twitter, or now X. And yet there are a plethora of shows, including this one, that are not getting an opportunity to interview him.
It's because the people inside this community know too much, including the dirt, and he doesn't want to be asked about it.
Well, I do know he's under contract for his publishing company to do the public relations for him.
And they are deciding and telling him where to go. Literally.
Do you think after what Elizondo went through with the To the Stars Academy, where they literally lambasted the UFO community, and I'm not trying to stir shit or stuff up. I will have to. Oops, sorry about that. I'm not trying to stir it up, Bob. Okay, but what I am saying is, I remember Lou telling me on a conversation that one of his biggest regrets with TTSA was how they were blacklisting the UFO community, and especially the larger radio shows and podcasts of this genre. And now it's happening again. I do understand, too, that he doesn't have control of that, because that is something that the PR company for his publishing publisher is going to do this. And they probably already think, well, we've already got those sales. Why do we need to promote there when we could get the message out to the general public who may not understand?
So, I mean, look, he's gone on with Ross and Matt on the Good Trouble show. So he's done some things.
He's done about 5.
Yeah.
5.
And I think he believes that's enough. When he was first starting, I tell you what, he had some kind of plan even way back then that involved him going on. I'm going to use a term so that everybody will understand. But believe me, I don't mean anything negative about it. He went on Know Nothing podcast where they had small audiences and dropped bombshells. And of course, everybody else would pick up the bombshell and spread it virally. But he didn't get asked tough questions on those podcasts that were know-nothings. He had a plan. I mean, it's just the way he decided to do it.
Yeah, it was weird. He would go on bigger shows and not say anything, yet he would go on a podcast that has maybe
20 people.
300 subscribers with 20 people live, and he would drop bombs.
Yep.
I mean,
that was clearly planned. And they were so shocked, they had no plan for how to follow up. Because they didn't know enough to follow up.
Do you see that continuing?
I don't. As book sales taper off and the movie is all locked in the can and etc., then that will happen. But I don't know how long it'll be.
Let me ask you this. If you were one of the shows, because you have your own podcast that put in a request for Elizondo, would you want the rest of the bacon grease? Or because there's no bacon left?
I don't, as of right now, he's not telling enough new stuff for me to want him on. We have a plan for our show. It's to bring on people that we think ought to be important, but aren't not getting enough exposure. And because our show is too small to draw the big names.
No, I get that, Bob. But let's say you put in a media request.
Yeah. I right now I wouldn't. I just wouldn't.
Would it be worth it?
I would love for Lou to come on and talk to us, but I just don't believe he would, so I wouldn't waste my time putting it in. He's got his plan well mapped out, and it is paying big for him, and he needs to make up for the losses that were incurred by his family when he left and went to TTSA. I don't know whether many people have seen the deal, but Lou and his family were living in a small mobile home that was hidden under a barn in Wyoming. I mean, that's no way for them to have to put up after they had that nice house on Kent Island in Maryland. No, he's taking care of his family as he should.
Well, we'll see where it plays out over the next little bit. I am unofficially, as of right now, until I put out a statement, I am personally rescinding my request because I was told that we were getting Elizondo in week 1, and then it was week 2, and now it's week never from them. And to me, that's not a professional way to do business.
Yeah, I get it. But I'm sure it's under the control of his publicity people.
Well, and that is 100%. I do not blame Lou for a second because I've dealt with enough PR companies the last 26 years to know that it isn't something that the person who is writing the book or doing the talk show circuit has any control over. It's in the contract that they sign.
I agree.
Let's go to another question. Let's go to PRM. Bob, if you could ask any question to anyone and get a true answer, what would that question be?
Can you tell me the entire details of Roswell?
Oh, that would be good. That would be really, really good. I want to know that one too.
Yeah, it's kind of the birth of the involvement of the national security state that was put together by Harry Truman, Vannevar Bush, and the atomic secrets people in the 1940s and early 50s. And since then, we've had to live with it. I'd like to know what caused that.
All right, let's move to another question. Let's go to Murdaddy. If the
Murdaddy, that's Ulrich, my buddy.
I know who that is. Hey, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. You're supposed to apparently call me, by the way.
Yeah, call him, Ulrich. Come on.
Yeah. Why haven't you called me yet, Ulrich? What are you doing here? Come on.
Come on, ask a question.
Them damn Ulrichs. All right. If the rate of increased incidence of lower altitude aurora perfectly tracks with the increased incidence of UFO sightings, when does correlation point towards at least a potential common cause?
That's a great question. So, as a scientist, before I inferred some level of causation from the correlation, I would like to at least have some understanding of the mechanism of causation that was leading to the correlation before I claimed it. Now, that's me as a scientist, and Ulrich knows I'm one of those. I want a method for the causation that causes the correlation before I claimed it.
Channel Warhorse is asking, is there a win in the UFO community's future?
I believe, given some things I'm told, there will be some wins in the November Nancy Mace hearing. And nearly contemporaneously with that will be a Senate hearing. And I'm also told that the senators are going to reintroduce the UAPDA in the lame duck session after Thanksgiving for the NDAA.
I would say the win, in my opinion, would be them to announce we are confirming there is a phenomenon that is real. I know they technically have, okay, but they haven't come out and said it because everything's hiding behind the word disclosure.
Yep.
They're misusing the term disclosure. I know that sounds really vague, but that's what I believe. Let's go to Super Crazy. Last question from our audience. From 5 years from now, Science Bob, do you think disclosure will already be in our rearview mirror, or will we still be in the same place we are today?
We will not be in the same place we are today. I don't know whether we'll be across the goal lines that Dave and I have set tonight. But I hope we are.
I think we're going to know a little bit more. I do not know how much more we're going to know. If people think they are going to give us the blood-drenched secrets of what they know about experiencers, what they know about alien bodies, what they know about crash retrievals, I don't see that happening. That's why I continue to remind people we are in a confirmation movement. I am going to sneak one more question in here from Jennifer, only because she's from British Columbia as well, where I am. So hello, Jennifer. Please let us know where in BC you are. What about the UFO sightings in BC, Canada? Well, our listeners here at Spaced Out Radio already know where British Columbia is, so we don't have to explain that it's in Canada. I'm pretty anal about that. Always check towards the Cascade Mountains if you live on the coast. Vancouver Island, both sides. The Caribou region where I live. And Penticton has a great run through the mountains. Right to the northwest side of Kelowna. There you go. Hope that works. Science Bob, thanks for a great show, buddy.
Happy to be here, Dave, and good night to everyone.
Coming up next, Swamp Dweller has another spooky story. Little Timmy James is here with another great night. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Jennifer, if you're in 100 Mile House, yeah, she said 100 Mile House, cool. It's like a neighbor. It's like a neighbor that, I'm like, come on into the studio. You can watch live. Look over by 108 Lake and to the southwest side, or southeast side towards from town towards Bridge Lake and up towards Canham Lake. Especially Canham Lake. How's that? Yeah, you better mute, Major Lee. You better mute. Science Bob, thank you, buddy.
Thanks, bro. See ya.
See you, bud. All right, let's go for a break. I gotta blow my nose. All right. Glenn John McEnroe, the pride of Wimbledon, has decided to show up after winning his latest set, 6-5, 6-3, 6-4. Straight set victory. We got 1 minute. Let's get your camera ready. All right. No, you're good. You're good. I need to get a new camera. I want to be clearer. I know. My setting is on 1080p. I don't think so. No, I think it's just worn out. Thank you tonight to Human Carl, Maddie, Dabaruni, Peter, Dutch Hank, Joe, Richard, Boo, and Cosmic Joe for the great super chats tonight. Appreciate the love and support, everybody. Don't forget you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. As you see Tim there getting ready. Here we go, everyone. Here we go with the final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Swamp Dweller coming up momentarily. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Pointy Sticks. Pointy Sticks is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. I live in Utah, more northern, not Navajo Nation, but I'm only about 3 hours from the Adamtanium Skinwalker Ranch, for a reference to how close I am to Skinwalker territory. I live in a neighborhood on the very top of the mountain. Surrounding my neighborhood is just the mountains and nothing else. So basically just a neighborhood carved into the mountainside. Only clearings were houses and yards. Everything else was very wooded. Anyways, I'm not scared of the forest or mountains at all. I don't mind being alone. The only thing that worries me is other humans, and cougars sometimes. As I am a young girl, I've slept in the mountains a lot with my dad's dog and a friend. Sometimes the dark spooks me, but not dark forests or anything like that in particular. I'm pagan and really big into spirituality and connection with nature and the earth. So, for the most part, I find comfort exclusively when I'm outdoors. So when I do feel uneasy or afraid when I'm in nature, I always feel like it's for a good reason. I never ignore it. I usually get home from work pretty late, around 10:30 at night. This whole drive home I came upon the mountain. I was feeling really uneasy this day, and I was dreading getting out of my car and walking into my house. I do have a fear of skinwalkers and entities alike, and I know that attracts them, so I always try to shake those thoughts off as soon as they enter my head. But they always do. That night was no different, but I felt like my fear was for a reason. I didn't want to be outside for a second longer, so I just got out of my car and ran to my back door. I was so nervous. It was that horrible feeling where you feel like if you look behind you, something horrible will happen. Nothing did, luckily. I locked my doors and went to sleep. That night was normal. In the morning, however, I went outside and there was a bone fragment outside of my house near my porch. Not saying it was human, probably animal. It looked like it came from a large bone. But yet again, it was just a piece. Probably a deer. I know I live near coyotes and predators, and there's probably a logical explanation for this, but the bone was dry, not previously removed from something. It was old and it had no meat or blood on it. It was just weird that it showed up overnight. And that's not the last thing though. there were creepy markings on it, like somebody had carved into this bone. And it wasn't there the day before, I know that. I don't have a dog at this house, so it wasn't anything that was dug up or something like that, you know? Just a weird feeling the night before, and then the creepy bone with markings on it. Super creepy. I did talk to some Navajo friends, and they have mentioned that they have heard stories from elder folk who talk about being cursed by skinwalkers in the same way. So I'm really hoping that's not what happened to me. This was around 3 years ago. I was 10 and my older stepbrother was 11. My dad and stepmom just got married, and I and my older stepbrother were home alone at around 5:30 a.m. or so. We were watching Netflix, but it buffered constantly. So us being the impatient kids we were, decided to go outside and practice bow shooting, which is what we did a lot. We got out there, and everything seemed okay. There was a lot of dew on the ground and the sun was just coming up. We walked for about 2 minutes to our little spot we made for our bow/firearm practice. We had fired a few arrows. Then my stepbrother started acting skittish, but took 2 more turns. And when his turn came for a 3rd time, he turned white and said, "I think I'll sit this one out." Which I thought was weird, because he was so eager to get out there. I shot a few more arrows, and he shook me and pointed at an old burn pile a good deal away. A white, lifeless-looking face was half peeked out from behind it. Me, my stepbrother, and the creature stared eye to eye at each other for what I think was around 2 minutes, until my stepbrother moved his foot onto a twig and broke it, and I guess it scared the creature because it made a sound I'll never forget. It was a screech that sounded like a panther being murdered by a screech owl. I remember running inside and locking the door until my dad got home. All I can say is we didn't go outside alone again for a very, very long time after that. I know the story was short and maybe not the scariest thing you've ever read, but thank you for sharing it, Swamp Dweller.
Thank you, Swampy, for another great night of spookiness as we kick off hour 3 with Swamp Dweller each and every night on this show. If you want more, head on over to his YouTube channel and make sure you hit subscribe. Just type in Swamp Dweller. Let's get to the UFO report.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
Little Timmy James is here with another UFO report. By the way, Tim, Katie Page, who we had on the other night, I talked to her on the phone yesterday. She says to me, "Who's this Tim guy who's doing the UFO report?" I said, "That's my buddy, Timmy." And her comment was, "He's great."
Oh, wow. Thank you, Katie.
Yeah, she was like, I said, "Well, he's just learning, and
Yeah.
you know, he's just getting into the field, learning the names and everything like that." And she's like, "Was he in studio?" I said, "Yeah, he's in studio." And she's like, "That is just awesome." She thought you did really well, that you present really well, and she wanted me to pass on the compliment to you.
Well, I do appreciate that. Thank you very much, Katie. It was a very nice compliment.
I even held that back to hold on to that.
Did you?
I did.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. I'm like, you should see him in person. He's not a nice person.
Not at all.
No, nothing nice about him. Nothing nice about him whatsoever. Yeah.
Nope. Not at all, sir.
We're talking about a guy here who has webbed feet.
I can swim real good.
You sure can. You sure can. How you been doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Besides a squirrel in my closet at home.
Yeah, what's with that? The city folk won't really understand that. How do you end up with a squirrel in your closet?
Well, as you know, on the weekend I was chasing one around on my on the roof, and I was under one of the eaves or whatever. It doesn't matter. So I plugged the hole and I got up there on the ladder. I did it all. And then today, before I came over here to do the show, I went to grab stuff out of the closet. I opened the closet door and I looked down, and in one of my shoes, there's a squirrel sitting there just looking up at me. I'm like, how the heck did you get near? So he took off into the corner, and so I left a trap, and yeah, we'll see if I get him when I get home tonight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of interesting.
Welcome to the country.
I haven't had that happen before.
I've had a bat in the house.
Never had that.
And I've had a duck in the house. When I first moved in, there was a duck that got in. Yep.
You got a house of nature.
I know, right? Well, that's what happens when you live in a log house.
I once lived in a basement suite.
Yeah.
Where a couple of pack rats were running around.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I had my door open.
Mm-hmm.
And I look, and there's a pack rat. I can see him. He's outside the door.
Yeah.
So I said to him, I said, dude, I said, you're more than welcome to run around out there.
Sure.
Don't come in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he decided to come in.
Excellent.
And let me tell you, they don't like those sticky pads.
No. Oh.
They do not like those sticky pads. And all of a sudden, there were no more pack rats.
They're hard to get out of your house once they're in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they like staying, that's for sure. So I don't know how I'm supposed to follow Science Bob now.
Well, let me ask you this, because I know we weren't really going to get into this, but
sure,
you've been doing the research on it, being our UFO guy on the UFO report. What's your thought of Immaculate Constellation?
I'm confused. I'm seriously, quite straight up and honestly, I'm confused. We talked again. I think we talked about it during the week and last week and stuff. There's so much information going around right now. I guess I'm jaded a little bit because I'm not sure what to believe anymore. I just find that there's, something else pops to the surface, and I've got that skeptical side, and I'm going, okay. And I'm kind of over the trust me, I know a guy that knows a guy. And it's shouldn't say over it, but it's irritating to me. If it's true, I agree with you on Science Bob. I think that's going to push some stuff. I'm still not 100% sure about the November 13th hearing. So I don't know if that's going to make anything happen. I keep thinking they're going to just say, no, we can't do the hearings because, the election just finished and we've got too much stuff going on. I think they'll probably postpone it, just the way that I'm thinking, but I don't know. It's interesting. And some of it, it seems to be a little bit of common, I guess, do a little bit more research, I guess, on it, and I just got to stop being so skeptical.
No, you know what though? Just to continue the discussion here for a second.
Sure.
This is one of those situations, and I really, really want our audience to be careful with this. This could be part of some sort of false flag,
right?
Where with all the hell that's breaking loose on the world right now.
Sure.
And I don't think at any point in our lifetimes, if you're, say, below 60 years old, that we have been this close to an all-out world war breaking out.
Yeah.
True. Okay. Things are scary out there. They are very scary out there right now. And I never thought in my lifetime that I would see people in the streets of Canada burning Canadian flags and chanting "Death to Canada." That I'm very bothered by that right now, and I'm not going to go political or what I think or anything like that. But I am now wondering, with this Immaculate Constellation, it could go one of two ways.
Yeah.
I think it could either go, A, this is a false flag to try and smarten the world up real quick before somebody does something stupid and hits a certain red button.
Sure. Yeah.
Or B, I think that there's some really bad people who are giving some not so good information that they want to bury this subject again.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I'll even add a C on there because A and B are kind of the same.
Sure.
or it's people who are truly like, it's time.
Yeah.
It's time this story comes out. It's time you learn that the government is lying to you about what they know, that all governments of the world regarding this subject are lying to you, just like Science Bob said.
Right.
And we're going to be the ones who are pushing it forward. I think people need to take a step back and say that this may or may not be a good thing.
Right.
We don't know the whistleblower. I've been asking around the last couple of days, who is it? Who is it?
Mm-hmm.
There are certain people who know, but don't want to talk about it right now. And there's others that I've talked to who say, we're not discussing this. I don't know who it is.
Right. Got it.
So it is very, very on the ledge here.
Yeah.
And this could be, for those who are emphatic that we got to have disclosure no matter what, and we'll take a cover-up type disclosure that the government wants to give, what I call confirmation.
Yeah.
I think what we are going to see here is we are going to see something that we're not going to like. I don't think it's going to push catastrophic disclosure or any type of anarchic type disclosure, because those who are in the know are going to keep being in the know.
Sure.
And we're not going to get that. But people need to understand you can't be positive about everything.
No.
And I always like when something big like this happens, and it reminds me of when the To the Stars Academy came out and everybody was flag waving Tom DeLonge and everything. I said, hold on here, people. Let's look at this. Let's see how this plays out.
Right.
And from day one, in their first press conference, I noticed a red flag.
Okay.
And that red flag was this. And it's funny because other people have tried to take credit for this, but I was the first one to pick it apart.
Right.
You can't have a press conference with no press there.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. That's not how press conferences work.
Right.
Is by putting you online in a stage on a camera.
Right.
The media has to be there, and they had no media there. It wasn't a press conference.
Right.
That was red flag number one. And from there, I just started noticing more and more.
Sure.
And I am seeing the exact same red flags or cautionary flags with this. We don't know who the whistleblower is. We don't know their position.
Right.
We don't know what they know. I mean, there's rumors going around on X that this person might have a criminal record, could currently be in jail.
Sure.
Okay, it has nothing to lose. Okay, whatever. There's a lot of rumors being put out.
Absolutely.
This is one of those situations. Yes, I got confirmed the program is real.
Right.
But we have to be careful with the information that follows up with that, because this program is so secretive that not even, like I said, the best example to give for people to understand is it's like Fight Club. You could be a part of Fight Club, but rule number one is you don't talk about Fight Club.
Exactly.
You don't.
Yeah.
So don't go waving the hooray for disclosure flag on this one.
No.
And especially if this program comes out in the next set of hearings, that will be a turning point.
Yeah.
It will be a turning point because that means it's now on government record.
Yeah.
With a bunch of Congress people who probably never heard of this program before and are as in the dark as we are about this topic.
For sure. I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. I mean, I don't, like you say, don't want to be a Debbie Downer or, a negative Nancy, whatever you want to call it. But there just seems to be so much rhetoric, I guess, out there. And it's almost like people are throwing stuff against a wall to see what sticks. And then if it sticks, then that narrative or that whatever they put out, they continue with. And if they don't get any sensationalism out of what's stuck to the wall, then they move on. And I can't to me, that's hard for me to figure out, to navigate that path, right? It's like, what are we doing here? For the last week, you've been saying X, Y, Z, and now you've completely gone silent on it, and you're looking at something else. What happened to what we were talking about before? I think that's what frustrates me, or what I find difficult, is who do you believe? Who do you believe? And I agree with you. We have to be cautious and we have to be smart about it. And I think that, like Katie said, you got to do the hard work and you've got to dig. You just can't scratch the surface and take what you see at the surface as a gospel, right? And I think that's why it's sometimes difficult for me to report on the show, is because I don't want to mislead anybody. I don't want them to think that I'm reading this and this is all the truth. I'm just giving information, and doesn't mean that I necessarily believe what is being posted, but it's the topic and it's what everybody's on about at this point in time. And it's discussion, it's fodder, right? So
it is fodder. But this is a UFO field that literally takes cookie crumbs and literally fills up 10 packages of Oreo cookies.
Exactly. Yeah. No,
Okay.
Good point.
And we, Steve Cambion, from good friend of this show, and I really recommend anybody watch his show. He does some real dogged work in there. He says, Dave, this is another Lucy in the football story put out by the same three salesmen who sold us the Grush Lucy in the football story 492 days ago. Still no proof. This show sucks. Steve's obviously been watching during the breaks for our radio audience out there. I was saying today's day one of, you know how you have those injury reports at work? We've gone 492 days without an incident. Well,
yeah.
I've gone one day without somebody saying this show sucks, and now I got to start it back at zero. Thanks to Steve. And I know he's laughing right now.
Of course.
I know he's laughing right now because he's got a good sense of humor, but it is good. And by the way, Deb from SAC says, stop saying Debbie Downer.
Oh, right. Yeah. Because
it brings Deb down.
Sorry, Deb.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It brings Deb down. Shame on you.
Okay.
Shame on you. We got about a minute to go here.
Donald Downer?
Before we go to work, to commercial break, go to work. No, we're still working. But I want our listeners to be extremely cautious with this.
I agree.
There's a lot of, we talk about, people talk about the experience or whatever, or the tinfoil hat conspiracy about this. Yeah. We also have to remember that there's a lot of people trying to pull the wool over the eyes on a very serious topic that we take seriously, which is UFOs.
Yeah. 100%.
And we want people to get that correct information. And that's why we got to keep digging. And that's why we just can't believe every new shiny ornament that goes on the Christmas tree.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to make sure about it. Just the way it is.
Yeah.
You got a good UFO report coming up in the next half hour. You got some history to tell us. You got a little bit more on the UFO news. It's going to be a great, great segment. That is for sure. And I know you're having fun with it.
I'm having a blast with it. Why wouldn't you? How can you not have fun sitting in here with you?
Well, absolutely. I'm a fun guy.
You are.
I'm a fun guy.
That's a capital F-U-N.
Who sucks at radio, according to Cappy. The UFO report continues right after this on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned, everybody.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear.
Excellent. You suck, Dave.
Stevie, I was not prepared for that. I was not prepared for that whatsoever.
That was awesome. All caps. Why are you yelling?
Questions and comments. So Big comment said, always put in caps, man.
Davis Fungus, Rob G. Gosh,
That Rob G.
I know, right?
You know, we call him sweet, but he's not very sweet. That's sweet and sour Rob G.
That's right.
Sweet and sour Rob G now. Hey, Steve, isn't this where I play your video? Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash. Why would I bring on El Ovni? Nobody wants to see that jerk here.
That guy's an idiot.
He's a real jerk.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the two of them, I don't know if they're on tour or what their deal is, but I'm glad that they're whatever. Haven't heard or seen any of those guys for a while.
Yeah. It's probably best that way.
Uh-huh.
It probably is best that way. Nobody needs that.
No, I agree. Just a bunch of bravado.
Mm-hmm.
Holy, that heater's going, eh?
Oh, it's
working.
Yeah, the heater's working. Joe says El Ovni is a jerk.
Welcome to Dave Scott's home studio and sauna.
Right?
Now it's pouring out. Is it? Is that Jennifer from Mahindra?
Yeah.
Oh.
She's giving us our weather updates for the show.
Perfect. Yeah, we're locked in a dungeon right now.
Just wait until it starts snowing.
Yeah.
Jennifer, we'll need you to come shovel the driveway. so Tim can get out.
That's right.
SOR headquarters is going to be full of snow here very soon.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be long. I do not think it's going to be long.
I'm predicting Halloween night.
You think?
By Halloween night, we're getting snow.
What was it like? 2018, we had it on Thanksgiving, like a ton of it.
I remember taking my boy out trick-or-treating,
Mm-hmm.
and it was snowing.
Oh,
yeah.
Gotta love the North.
Yep. I still love it here, though.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Oh, yeah.
Jennifer being negative already. No way.
Steve's fired up tonight.
Wow, what's up with Steve?
I'm yelling because I have to be heard over your hope-based hopium bad salesman of people who all got caught selling fake stories multiple times. You tell the world, Stevie. You tell the world. What do you mean? Barks has bite.
That's it, right? You tell the world. Oh, my goodness.
We got 90 seconds.
Cool. We'll go with that one.
Carmen. El Ovni shops at Fart Mart.
Fart Mart. Hello, welcome to Fart Mart. Oh no.
May I take you for a rip around the mall?
Right. Oh my god.
I don't get a good view of the 105 very well.
Not from here.
Not from here. There's a couple of trees right there that block my view.
And kind of a hill in between us, I think, too.
I'm really not looking forward to getting I got to get my snowblower going.
Oh, you've got like an actual.
Oh, yeah, man.
Oh, okay.
I got the cat's meow, man. It's got like 30 inches of auger. Yeah.
Do you have hand warmers and stuff too?
No hand warmers.
No.
Here we go. The final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Glad you can be with us as we continue the UFO report with Tim James, who is here in the studio. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tim James is here with the UFO report. Tim, what do you got for us?
Excuse me. Was digging around today, and it seems that Japan is the world's #1 hotspot for UFO sightings right now. And yeah, so was reading through a story here that I thought I'd share with everybody. So, and obviously, and officials are trying to figure out why there are so many UFO sightings in Japan. So, started off, Japan is no stranger to reports of unidentified flying objects. Next year will mark the 50th anniversary of the country's most famous UFO sighting out of Kofu, the capital city of Yamanashi, in which 2 boys claim to have met a grounded alien following reports of flying saucers. A mini UFO that was supposedly captured in Koshi in 1972 and multiple 1974 sightings in Hokkaido round out what enthusiasts see as Japan's classic Big Three incidents. So throughout the 70s, residents in and around the town of Lino near Saganomori Mountain began reporting frequent sightings that they credit to the region's spiritual magnetic forces. The town's location in Fukushima has continued to draw more UFO attention, especially over the last decade. In fact, a rash of recent UFO sightings in Japan have occurred around nuclear facilities. Nuclear, whatever. Online forums and YouTube accounts are stacked with descriptions and videos of moving lights and clusters, obviously UFOs, in the sky over Fukushima following the nuclear disaster of 2011. So, when strange UFO reports began to pour in from the country's nuclear defense facilities, it seemed governments started to take the threat more serious. Japanese officials met on May 28th of this year to announce the formation of an 80-plus member bipartisan look into increased UFO sightings within the country, especially in the Fukushima region. The new investigative body comes on the heels of last year's U.S. Navy disclosures detailing pilots' accounts of aircraft capable of impossible maneuvers and congressional investigations into the reports. And as we all know, the result was the creation of Arrow. This was 2022. So similarly, Japan's response to ongoing sightings in the land of the rising sun demonstrate how those lights in the sky are now considered legitimate national security threats, worthy of official mainstream investigation. But that doesn't mean it will be easy to uncover the truth. So Avi Loeb, who's a PhD in, Avi Loeb is a PhD in physicist and a professor at Harvard University. In a landscape where people make up their minds about UFO incidents before a proper investigation, Loeb applauds the Japanese approach to looking into the sightings with a more serious perspective. In the UFO field, there are skeptics and there are believers, obviously, Loeb says. Unfortunately, none of them are doing the hard work. That's why it's important to see government efforts in Japan and the U.S. to approach UFOs objectively. In both cases, they're considering possible security threats, but they're not trying to debunk them. So Loeb understands that the citizens reporting UFO sightings in Japan, the U.S., or elsewhere most likely want to believe that they're spotting extraterrestrial spacecraft. However, officials' efforts emerging from Japan, and the Department of Defense must consider every possible explanation. So I lead the Galileo project at Harvard, Loeb explains. In our work, we must first consider if any object is naturally occurring, like a meteor or a bird, or it's human-made, like a drone or balloon. I think that this approach gives the government agencies more room to explore, and these approaches should be taken. As for why Japan has become a recent hotbed of UFO activity, the human psychology of mass hysteria confirmation bias could play a role. According to Mick West, a science writer with the Center of Inquiry in Amherst, New York-based organization that investigates pseudoscience, he took a look at the Japanese claims of UFOs around Fukushima and would credit the decades worth of reports to people watching the area and wanting to get into proverbial UFO flap. So given that the Japanese Parliament's early summer announcement of its new UFO probe followed right on the heels of America's creation of the Arrow, it might seem that the U.S. applied a form of international peer pressure to make UFO investigations a global effort. However, Loeb believes potential threats from nations like China and North Korea have actually forced Japan and the U.S. into these positions. So, however, investigation member and former defense minister Yakashushi Hamada echoed the thoughts of Loeb and other scientists, insisting both national security and scientific exploration make UFO studies essential. So, yeah, Japan's on board with it. They've created, I guess, their own Arrow, but 80 people on the board. That's a lot of people looking into this stuff. There was also, I read some other stuff on it where they were explaining, and everybody can look it up if they like, but they were explaining, it's funny the way that the Japanese people look at things. And they were talking about they figured that people were trying to bring back the myths and the mysteries from ancient Japan into the future, and they were using these sightings, and they had it in quotes, these sightings to help bolster bringing those old tales and those stories back. So just another way of, I guess, them having a look at stuff, and it was interesting, very interesting read, and there's a lot more on it. And I just, like I say, I wanted to just cover the base, and very interesting stories.
Is Japan the hotspot, or are they finally admitting that this is going on? Because there's hotspots all over the world.
Sure, of course.
For this.
Of course. I think from what I gleaned from reading what I read was that there are so many sightings, and there have been so many sightings, but I have a funny feeling that they don't want to talk about it, and I don't think there was an avenue for them to actually, the Japanese people to explain it, because it seemed to be pushed aside. Like they put up a bunch of cameras all around where the nuclear disaster was, right? And there's hundreds. People put cameras up when they started hearing about UFOs. So they've got all these game cameras and GoPros and stuff up all over the place there. And every time something moved on a camera, according to what I read, they were, oh my goodness, it's a UFO, it's a UFO, right? So they kind of figured it was a little bit of mass hysteria, and a lot of the officials were going out there and saying, no, that was a bird, no, that was a bug, and that sort of thing. But I think forming this bipartisan group gives them, the Japanese people, the chance now then, not to feel embarrassed or whatever, to go out and say stuff. So maybe everybody's just been keeping it tucked in because they don't want to look like, they're crazy or something, right?
Well, I mean, people have sightings.
Yeah.
People have sightings that they can't explain. But, I mean, let's also remember that most people don't know what they're looking at.
Fair enough.
Right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
We all sit there and say that we want to be able to say we've seen a UFO, but
sure.
We still have people who think Starlink is a group of UFOs flying together.
Yes.
That is the troublesome part.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So yeah, it was just it was very interesting, and it was and I also like the part where they had suggested that possibly the US had pressured them into it to, ally up with them.
Yeah.
It just neat, conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat wearing stuff. But yeah, it was cool. I thought it was a really, really good read, and there's a ton of information on it, a ton. So if you find yourself that you want to read something cool, there's a lot of stuff on it.
Right on, my man. What else you got for us?
Well, I've got something from, and I guess she's not here. Deidre's not in tonight, is she?
No.
Right in her neck of the woods.
Oh, what happened on Vancouver Island?
Well, this was in October of 1981. So over on Vancouver Island, so about 11 a.m. Local time, Mrs. Hannah McRoberts of Campbell River, BC, was with her family at a rest area some 30 miles to the north of Kelsey Bay on the east coast of Vancouver Island.
Mm-hmm.
She took a number of pictures of her family and of the local scenery using a 35 millimeter camera with a 50 by 55 millimeter lens, 125 speed, ASA 100 film. At one point during the holiday, they observed that one of the mountain peaks was surmounted by a cloud, somewhat suggestive, as they described it, of a volcano issuing steam. So Mrs. McRoberts snapped that as well. None of the party noticed anything else in the air at the time, and the presence of the UFO was therefore only discovered by them when the prints and the negatives came back after processing. So, yeah, 1981. Yeah, I guess so. The resulting photograph shows an object to the right of and above the peak and the plume of cloud. The photo came to the attention of Mr. David A.C. Powell of Vancouver, who at the time was on the staff of the Macmillan Planetarium. Who in turn contacted Bill Allen and provided him with an enlargement, and also got in contact with APRO of Tucson, Arizona. Mrs. McRoberts was very cooperative at all times and loaned Dr. Richard Haynes the original negative as well as her camera for study. When Haynes went to the original site on Vancouver Island, later with his father, McRoberts and her husband and their daughter met them there and reenacted basically the earlier events. Dr. Haynes wrote up his image analysis and field study findings and submitted his article, excuse me, for peer review. Excuse me.
'Tis the season.
It is. Peer review and to the Journal of Scientific Exploration and Analysis. It was eventually accepted and published. Excuse me. So super cool because it's in our backyard. But what I also found out was they analyzed the negatives, and they found. Thank you.
I hate when the coughing hits. It's terrible. Here, let me turn your mic down. Yes, please. For just a little bit here, but yeah, man.
All right, I'm good. I think I'm good. I have a cough attack. So anyway, they reviewed the negatives and stuff, and they couldn't find anything. It was absolutely perfect. There was no manipulation, no anything. They tried everything with it, and it's still in the library, I think, at the planetarium. And I saw the picture, but no manipulation whatsoever. They could not find any hoaxes, nothing to do with it. And it was one of the first photos actually that was published and claimed to be a real photo of a UFO off of Vancouver Island.
Very nice.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Very nice. Vancouver Island has a lot of sightings. I mean, they have, I know one of my friends, Paul,
Mm-hmm.
he used to live in town here. He served in the Canadian Navy.
Right.
And he was saying this is going back to, I think, 1979, 78,
Right.
80, around there. And he was telling us a story one time about how he was on his frigate, and they were getting ready to head up to Alaska for some training missions with the U.S. Navy up there.
Right.
And they were on the night shift, him and this other guy, and they watch the radar trying to make sure that everything kind of comes normal.
Sure.
And there were no aircraft in the airspace at that time. And then all of a sudden this blip comes on.
Oh, wow.
And they start looking at it, trying to figure out what it is, thinking jet or airplane,
Sure.
Maybe helicopter. And then they quickly ruled out helicopter because the helicopter being out that far, there were no other ships in the vicinity. And it apparently zoomed by them at about 300-400 miles per hour.
Oh, wow.
They never saw it eye contact wise. They were watching it on a radar and went about 50 miles ahead of them.
Oh, wow.
And then just dipped right into the ocean and disappeared.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I've heard lots of stories about stuff like that. In the last little while, I've read a lot of stuff about, UFOs flying along and then just doing this 45-degree splooch into the ocean. So it's interesting. But because it was our backyard, I thought that was a cool story. I thought it was a really cool story. And then, the first photo actually published that claims that it's a real UFO, and it's in the Library of British Columbia and in the planetarium. So very neat. Very neat.
It is one of those things, man, that is very interesting regarding what is going on. And from Alaska right down the border.
Oh, yeah.
That opens up the whole question once again about what's in the oceans.
Right?
What's in the oceans and what's living under there.
Yeah, well, I've read some stuff about that too. I think we talked about it on a report not too long ago. But yeah, the ocean unexplored, totally. I know Rob and I had talked about it as well. And there's so much that hasn't been looked at. Why though? I mean, we all look up in the air and nobody thinks to look down, under your feet or whatever. Yeah, anything's plausible, but I mean, obviously the Tic Tac and all that sort of stuff we know about that we've read about. But yeah, I'm wondering, it'd be super cool. I've never, besides the Tic Tac, I don't think I've ever seen any real super photos about anything anything coming out of the ocean. So that's a realm that needs to be explored hardcore, I would suggest.
Oh, I agree with you, my friend. I totally agree with you. But you know what? It's one of those things where, people have the sightings.
Yeah.
People have sightings. I mean, sometimes they don't know what they are.
Sure.
Like we said, I mean, we still get people making UFO reports on Starlink.
Yeah.
Or the International Space Station or even Jupiter or Venus.
Yeah.
It does happen. People get confused because they're not used to looking up anymore.
No, true.
And there are people out there who still think an airliner flying over top is a UFO because they see the flashing lights.
That's true.
That's true. This is why we tell people, man, just stay open.
Yeah. And I remember the first time I saw Starlink, and that was just up here. And my buddy and I were out hunting and had the trailer out and sitting out by the fire. And that's what you do, right? We're all sitting there. The two of us are sitting there looking at the stars, and then all of a sudden this huge trail of lights. And I was like, what the heck is that?
Oh, yeah.
Taking pictures and stuff. And it's like, oh, yeah, Starlink. Okay. And we saw it when you and I were out, I think, last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did.
The Sasquatch spot.
That was fun.
Yeah, definitely.
That was fun. Can't wait for this weekend to do that again.
Yeah.
Finally, no ghost tour in order to. We get a night off.
Yeah. I'm kind of over that ghost tour. just saying.
Oh, tell me about it, man.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
I would sooner be out in the forest chasing the Sasquatch, man.
For sure. But you got those lights, that string of lights going on Saturday night. That was phenomenal. That was super cool.
That was. That was kind of cool.
It's not UFO. It's just paranormally. But yeah, that was super cool.
So at our ghost tour the other night,
Mm-hmm.
we had I have this light string that I put on the floor.
Yeah.
And literally, it's rare that it goes off.
Right.
Rare. And there's no wiring in this old building.
No.
and we had it on the middle of the floor, unless there was like a marmot or something underneath playing with some electrical
Yeah.
that it found somewhere else, some copper wire found somewhere else. But this light string that we have, we were connected with one of the spirits of the building, a little kid called Billy.
Yep.
And he was setting that thing off like nothing.
It was phenomenal.
I'd never seen him do that.
No, and you had him going. Like Dave was asking the questions, and it was fantastic. You know, hi Billy, do you think you could please light up this light and get one going? Can you do two, Billy? We'd really like to see two. And get a second one going. And he goes, I'm thinking of one of them. Could you light it? I kid you not. Had a whole bunch going. Dave goes, I'm thinking of one light. And he goes, and I'd like you to turn that light on, but I'm not going to say anything. And then I looked at Dave and I kind of figured out which light he was looking at. The light lit up.
It did happen.
It was so awesome.
It did happen.
Yeah, that was very good.
Sometimes it's fun that way.
Yes, true enough. True enough.
We got about 35 seconds left with you.
Everybody's going, thank God he's coughing and choking.
It happens.
I know.
It happens. That's why you got to keep your throat well hydrated on the radio side, man.
Yeah. Well, they can't see all the empty water bottles behind me, but yes, you are correct.
It's the way it works around here. Got to keep the focus, man.
Focus.
Focus.
Exactly.
That's right. That's right. Big thank you, Tim, for
problem.
coming on the UFO Report. We'll talk to you in a couple nights' time.
You betcha.
And big thank you to Science Bob for a wonderful, wonderful show tonight. And really do appreciate it. As we say hello, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Space Down Radio, rocking us in down, finishing the show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat room tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag SpaceDownRadio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Space Down Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us. Because together, my friends,
don't make a mistake. We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. All right. We clear. We made another one. Look at that.
Yeah, I made another one.
That's how it works sometimes.
That was harsh. I was right in the back corner of my throat, and I'm like, you're not going to cough.
Oh, I hate that.
You're not going to cough. You're fine. You're fine.
I
You're fine.
know that
Yeah, I'm not
feeling.
fine.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, you probably experienced it far
Many
more
a
times than I
times.
have.
It sucks.
Yeah, no kidding.
It sucks.
Can we take two?
Yep. Got to keep going, man. That's
Yeah.
It's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we do. That was fun.
Yeah. Science Bob was awesome. I could have sat and listened to him all night. It's like,
Oh, that's Science Bob.
yep, for sure. For sure.
All right. Let me just get organized here. Okay. Got that. All right. Let's go like this. Go like this. Go like this.
It's like all my gear just exploded over here. What are you doing, dude?
Yeah, what do you do, man?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
You got all panicky with the voice thing.
With the voice thing.
Oh, let's see here. Where are we here? Give me 2 seconds. Yeah. Ba-ba. What's the date? Today's going into the 10th. All right. There we go. All right, we good. We good. As for the ghost tours, we have 2 left. We have one, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. And you just show up at the door, and then Halloween night.
Yeah.
We have, and then we're done for the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Done for the season. What are you going to do on Saturday nights, Dave?
I'm going into the forest, man.
Atta boy.
Going into the forest. That's what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait.
No doubt. Have you been up in that area when it's when the snow's flown?
Usually when it starts.
Yeah.
But when the road gets icy and difficult up there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's when it gets a little bit hairy up there.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's that one, when you cross the cattle guard and you make the climb up.
Yes.
And there's nothing on the right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then going down it'd be on your left.
Yeah, for sure.
I've been up there when it's been slippery.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a fun drive coming down that little hill.
No, I can imagine not. Yeah, because just thinking about that now, it's like, yeah, nice.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me just go here.
Oh, yeah. Trust me, Joe. Dave wears a shirt in the forest.
Too many bugs, man. Got to keep my girdle tight.
I know, right? I hear you.
Right? Go like that. Go here.
Oh, man.
That warmth really tired me out.
It did.
Big furnace blast there. Holy cow.
Yeah. I'm gathering the rest of the house was a little chilly.
No, we're having troubles because turn down the furnace at night.
Yeah.
But it seems to just keep firing back up.
Oh. Have you got an old school thermostat?
No,
or is
everything's
digital.
Everything's digital. It's
brand
new.
Okay.
This doesn't seem to want to play nice right now.
I had to, last around this time last year. Obviously had the furnace turned off during the summer. So it was like, okay, it's the game we play. How long can we go before we have to turn the furnace on? Right. So I went downstairs and went to fire it up. Wouldn't stay lit.
Right.
So I was like, oh, so I changed out the thermal coupling and stuff and still wouldn't stay lit.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. I was like, oh, all right. I'll just, maybe this valve, sure enough. And I was like, I went to get one down at Ace Hardware.
Yeah.
And he goes, do you have a gas ticket? I was like, no. He goes, well, then I can't sell this to you. I said, well, what if I was buying it for somebody that had a gas ticket? Like, what? You can't buy these things because they've got gas attached to them? He goes, yeah, I know, I can't sell it to you. I was like, really? So called.
Sounds like Jeremy.
Could be. And so I went and called up the heating and plumbing place over here, and they came up. Guy goes, yeah, it's the valve. I'm like, I know it's the gas valve. And he goes, yeah, I'll go get one. He would have done it in like 20 minutes, charged me like $15 million. I was like, really? Really? Like, I put my own hot water tank in. Like, that's not a big deal. But
Well, they got to follow the rules too.
and of course, I mean, if something went stupid and your insurance wouldn't cover it, yeah, so probably better on the side of caution.
Yeah, you don't want anything to go boom.
No.
I had to trim my front tree right beside my stairs to my front door because the hydro person who reads the meters couldn't walk around the other side. My tree. To look at the meter, which there is a path there for her.
Yeah, I had a notice. This is like probably 20 some odd years ago. Got a notice from the post office on my front door of my house saying that they couldn't deliver my mail. And I'm like, what's going on? You know, and your brain starts going. I just put in one of those old school mailboxes, you know, right? And I put it on the post, cemented it in. It was, you know, it was 3 inches too tall. I said, what do you mean? And they had a post office supervisor come out and with this measuring thing and said, they cannot put the mail into the box because you've got it too high. I'm like, it's right there. Like I still didn't understand.
What do you have, like a 7-foot pole?
Exactly. It wasn't. It was like 4 feet or something.
Right.
But I guess it was 2 inches too tall. Then they have to reach up to open it instead of just reaching directly in front. So I said to the guy, I said, so what happens when they go into an apartment building and they've got those ones way up the top? Like, do they not deliver mail? It's just the regulations. I was like, all right, I would just ask
whatever.
him. Yeah, I'm not going to die on this hill. Just give me my mail. So I had to trim the post by whatever it was, 3 inches or something like that. I was like, oh my goodness. I don't know.
Hopefully, you didn't cut it from the bottom.
Yeah, exactly, right.
All right. I'm going to find my shit now.
Yeah, so Dave dropped the shit bomb.
So that was 35 to 45. It's around 48. So that's 46, 47. Should be around here somewhere.
Book sales taper off and the movie is all locked in the can.
Or because there's no bacon left? No, I get that, Bob. But let's say you put in a media request.
Yeah. I right now I wouldn't. I just wouldn't.
I'll figure out that clicking. Would it be worth it?
I would love for Lou to come on and talk to us, but I just don't believe he would. So I wouldn't waste my time putting it in.
Hot going in.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his plan well mapped out, and it is paying big for him. And he needs to make up for the losses that were incurred by his family when he left and went to TTSA. I don't know whether many people have seen the deal, but Lou and his family were living in a small mobile home that was hidden under a barn in Wyoming. I mean, that's no way for them to have to put up after they had that nice house on Kent Island in Maryland. No, he's taking care of his family as he should.
Well, we'll see where it plays out over the next little bit. I am unofficially, as of right now, until I put out a statement, I am personally rescinding my request because I was told that we were getting Elizondo in week 1, and then it was week 2, and now it's week never from them. And to me, that's not a professional way to do business.
Yeah, I get it. But I'm sure it's under the control of his publicity.
Well, and that is 100%. I do not blame Lou for a second because I've dealt with enough PR companies the last 26 years to know that it isn't something that the person who is writing the book or doing the talk show circuit has any control over. It's in the
I agree.
contract that they sign.
I agree.
Let's go to another question.
I agree.
Let's go to PRM. Bob, if you could ask any question to anyone and get a true answer, what would that question be?
Can you tell me the entire details of Roswell?
Oh, that would be good. Where is it? That would be really, really good. I want to know that one too.
Yeah, it's kind of the birth of the involvement of the national security states.
But Bob, here's one thing that I've noticed, and I don't know if I've told you this or not. Much like To the Stars Academy did, his PR company is really lame ducking the UFO community regarding this subject.
Yep.
We're the people who bought the majority of books. We're the people who supported his cause, who blew him up on Twitter, or now X. And yet there are a plethora of shows, including this one, that are not getting an opportunity to interview him. Is this
because the people inside this community know too much, including the dirt, and he doesn't want to be asked about it.
Well, I do know he's under contract for his publishing company to do the public relations for him.
And they are deciding and telling him where to go. Literally.
Do you think after what Elizondo went through with the To the Stars Academy, where they literally lambasted the UFO community, and I'm not trying to stir shit or stuff up. There it is. I'm not trying to stir shit or stuff up, and I'm not trying to stir shit. Trying to stir or stuff up. I said it. I said it. Good job, Dave.
Man, my phone was just eating the battery. I was like, damn.
All right, everybody. Big thank you tonight for everybody tuning us in, having a good time with Science Bob. And thank you, Tim.
Oh, okay. Not a problem, sir.
Mm-hmm. Practicing the old man wave there.
That's it.
Tell you, it's fun.
It is. Totally.
Yeah. It's totally fun. Tomorrow night on the show, we have Dr. John Brandenburg. Cosmic Awakenings, Gravity Modification. It's going to be nice. This guy's a smart guy, too. Too many smart guys. I'm going to feel like real small. And a big thank you tonight to our super chatters, Deb ×3 with a hat trick for the second night in a row. Thank you, Deb. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Human Carl _Maddie, Boo, Cosmic Joe, Richard, Joe, and Dutch Hank for the super chats. We'll see you all tomorrow night. Don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell, and we appreciate you tuning us in. See you then.
healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.